Hey you guys, so I'm going to be going through a couple of these videos. I'm not going to take you guys through all of it. I'm going to watch some new ones and maybe so throw some old ones into the movie I'm making. Right now, I'm in uh, this specific one, Jesus End Time Sequence, Three Times the Trouble, okay? So what she's referencing to is how the Bible has been manipulated and the verses has been changed, okay? And I'm going to get into why I'm trusting the Bible in a little bit. Well, no, I can talk about it real quick now. So I want to talk about why I am trusting this information. So a lot of the times us going through the truth movement, as you would like to say, they've shunned you away from the Bible because they basically said the whole Bible itself has been manipulated. That's the word of the truth community, and that's so beyond truth. It's crazy. So the thing is of course it's always about balance. And like always, it may not have every bit of the truth, but it's going to hold truth within it. And what I believe happened is because of the mistranslations in the Bible and the purposeful changes in the Bible. And when I say this, I'm going to put this out right now. I'm just going to rewind it a little bit. Hold on.
As a nation, even to that same time, is also repeated in Matthew 24, verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor shall ever be. So when Jesus referred us to Daniel here in verse 15, he seemed to have been specifically pointing to Daniel chapter 12, which perfectly parallels what he said and gives us another detail about this tribulation. It asks in verse 6.
Sorry,
So when
you
Jesus
guys.
referred us to Daniel here in verse 15, literally means tribute.
Here we go.
So no,
This is where I wanted.
so Daniel 12 gives the word at the time of it's translated as trouble. Also,
I'm leaving
this
right
word
here.
in Daniel that was translated as trouble of the tribulation. So notice this word in Daniel that was translated as trouble also.
Okay. Sorry, it's not better. Next time I do this, it'll be more organized. So what she's doing is she's going into the original Hebrew text, okay? And she's looking up what that actual word means in Hebrew versus how they translated it in the Bible. And what she's pointing out is right now it's saying of trouble, but in the actual context and how it was used was tribulation
Really
over
means
here.
tribulation. So the sentence, and there shall be a time of tribulation, such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time.
Okay, so the reason why I'm pointing out this little section is that I want to make it apparent that because they're changing words in the scripture, just one little word, it changes the way that this whole Bible unfolds. And what she's been able to do is use synchronization. And when I say that, is that she sees like a code throughout the Bible. And when she says code, what she's saying is that she basically sees it says go to this book in this chapter to read more about this. Well, when she goes to read that chapter, it's been manipulated, so she has to go back through and look for the real meaning of it so it'll make sense. Because what they've done is chopped up the Bible, try to put false readings on it. So what I'm going at is the reason why I'm trusting this information right now is it's perfectly aligning with everything that I have learned in the past 8 years about all of this manipulation. And what I mean is that we've been told that they changed the names. Okay, let me even. Yes, I'm just going to stick with that. So they talked about how they changed the names, right? Each time they took another position, they changed the names. She talks about how there's been the royal empires and how it's talked about in the Bible. And basically, people's reference the Bible as a future, but it's already happened. And there's a section in there, which is Revelations, which if you look up the word, it basically means, I think she said rescue, or I might misquote that. I'll go back and correct it. But the whole thing is that it's a one big manipulation. We all know ultimately we come from a source of creation that is good, because that's what we know to be true. And all this is doing is confirming that yes, this is true. And yes, everything you guys has been researching is true. And that's what I don't get, why this information is not going within the truth community, because this ties in directly into, like I was talking in my other video about the Pleiadians and the false light and the light warriors, and it ties into, all these fake Jesuses and religions and all of this stuff that we've been researching, and it ties into the names of the Pope and how we know that they created the papal, and you know how that ties into the fake birth certificates. She reads in hold on, let me find it. She talks about a Jesuit book, and I just watched it today. I'll find it, and I shared it already on Google Plus. But anyways, she talks about this Jesuit book, and when you read the Jesuit book, it talks about the enslavement of humans. And what I understood it to what they were saying is it was talking about the birth certificates, the widows. It was saying taking our estate. When they declared in 1929, 1921 area, is that, they declared bankruptcy, like she talks about in one of her videos. But let me take this step further. Now, if you guys look into that whole scenario, if you look in how the world currencies are backed, they are backed by the dollar. If the dollar was then backed by gold and the gold was removed and made and then replaced by humans, that means the whole world is under the same rule. And that is why every country has a form of social security number and birth certificate. That also ties into the reason why, hold on, my thought just disappeared from my head. I hate when this happens. The birth certificates and the reasons why, that means all the live birth certificates, they're declared dead. So what they've done is and all of that is the United Nations, because if you look into the United Nations, they are the royal family. I'm telling you, if she does not just connected everything for me as far as the stuff that I've been researching and tying it into the Bible, and I just knew there was something fake about it. There was something that did not feel right with the Bible. And I'm glad that I waited to the point that I'm at now, because I did come across her videos some time ago. And you know what I did? I decided not to look into them because I seen the Bible. And I'm glad I didn't, because I wouldn't have been able to make this full circle and making all these connections with what the Bible's talking about, is that they literally try to, chattel us as livestock. I was going somewhere with the birth certificates and stuff, you guys. I know I didn't really finish that thought process. That's because I forgot where I was going with it. Luna, be quiet. So, the dollar with the gold and the human being backed by it, that is when all of these taxes coming into play, and it all ties into the royal history. And and I said the United Nations. And now with this rumors about Obama signing papers last year, basically putting himself into United Nations control. So, a lot of talk about Obama is being, here, let me bring it up. Yes, I do not know how to spell his name. United Nations. Bam. You think I'm joking here, right? I'm not joking. I'm And so she also talked about this flag here. Okay. So this talks about the beast with the 10 crowns, 7 crowns, and 10 heads or something like that. And what she was talking about is that this map is not it might be a flat earth map, but there's multiple meanings to this. You know, this has the royal crown, royal seal, and this is all the world that they own, which it talks about in the last days, it being the eighth beast, the seventh blah blah blah, the seventh beast that was eighth, and the seventh beast's head was badly damaged. And if you look into the history of the United Motherfucking Nations, excuse my language, they tie into she shows you on this video. I'm not about to go through it again, but it talks about how the League of Nations, and if you look up who built the League of Nations, it was the last people from the royal empire, which was the seventh beast that heads was wounded. Okay, so Obama has covertly signed over the U.S. to the United Nations. This right here, boys and girls, to me, is just letting you know that this may not be true, like this happened like at this point, because I believe it's already been done. But what I'm saying is that there is a big deal going on here. There's some stuff going on here that we need to think about. Look at this. This is April 2016. Obama takes order to take over America. The Patriot Defense of Liberty Enabler Act. We already know that the Patriot Act itself was corrupted. You think that this is going to be any better? Oh boy. But I'm just saying that at this point, there's some stuff being connected that's pretty big. And you know, I was just reading right here, a state issue birth certificate. Okay. And it talks about 1930s. Let me show you something. This is what she was showing you guys. UN Charter signed. 1945, okay? The Charter of Nations, oops, sorry. Or it was established in 1945, okay? Well, the United Nations came from League of Nations. 1920 to 1946, boys and girls. League of Nations was an intergovernmental organization, and the Paris Peace Conference, they said that they would try to come in the form of peace. 1919. Do you guys see the dates here and how all of this ties into the birth certificates and the passing over? Their ultimate goal was to do that, to find a loophole. Now, Rose talked about the names changing and the power of control being topped over, you know, from one person to another. See, if you get so wrapped up in trying to figure out the names of this stuff, you see, I never did a lick of this research right here, but I already understood what was happening. I never studied the Bible like this girl did, but I understood what was happening because I stayed within the source of truth. I may not have all these dates, all these exact names for all these people, but what I'm trying to tell you is that it will just come, you'll come across the information. We sure will. Each of us is a sovereign, and each of us was given us the undeniable rights from Elohim. Okay, That was our original creators of Source. They had our laws in place already. And those laws was free will, and that we had our land. They took the land. You know that post going around, who did they buy the land from? Nobody. They took it from us.